The Ritz-Carlton's kitchen hummed with activity as I sat at the small metal prep table, watching the staff prepare my father's elaborate 60th birthday dinner. Being relegated to the kitchen wasn't new. It had been my designated spot at family events ever since I turned down a VP position at Morrison Industries to start my own tech company. Still keeping company with the help I see, my brother Richard smirked as he swung through the kitchen doors. Though I suppose someone needs to supervise the dinner service. I smoothed my deliberately understated dress, actually a rare vintage Dior that cost more than his annual salary, and smiled. Just making sure everything runs smoothly. My phone buzzed discreetly. Final paperwork complete. Quantum Tech's acquisition of Morrison Industries approved. Board announcement scheduled for 8:30 p.m. I glanced at the clock. 7:45 p.m. In 45 minutes, my family would discover that their disappointment daughter had just acquired their company in a $2.5 billion deal. Sarah, my sister Elizabeth's voice carried through the kitchen doors. At least tell me you're not wearing that dreadful outfit to the main event. There are important people coming, including someone from Quantum Tech. If she only knew that the someone from Quantum Tech was sitting right here in the kitchen. The mysterious tech giant that had been systematically acquiring manufacturing companies was about to reveal its CEO. Amy. I'll stay out of sight, I assured her, watching her sweep back into the ballroom where New York's elite gathered. Every executive who'd dismissed me, every board member who'd laughed at my ideas, every family member who'd relegated me to the kitchen. All were about to discover who really held the power. Through the service window, I could see my father holding court at the main table, probably sharing another story about how his real children had carried on the Morrison legacy while his youngest had found her place in the tech sector. Ms. Morrison, my actual chief of operations approached dressed as a server. Everything is in position. The board members are all present and the announcement is prepared. I nodded, checking my watch. 8:15 p.m. Time to serve the main course, in more ways than one. The ballroom sparkled with old money and new ambition. My father had insisted on having business news displayed on massive screens throughout the evening, a decision that would soon prove deliciously ironic. There's my practical daughter, my mother's voice dripped with false concern. Sarah, darling, surely you can join the family for your father's birthday toast? Of course, mother, I replied, taking my assigned spot at the very edge of the group, the same position I'd occupied since refusing to learn the family business properly. 8:25 p.m. The champagne was poured as the MC called for attention. Ladies and gentlemen, as requested by our host, please direct your attention to the screens for a special corporate announcement. My father raised his glass, expecting to see his company's stock ticker. Instead, the breaking news banner flashed across every screen. Breaking. Quantum Tech acquires Morrison Industries in $2.5 billion deal. Tech giant reveals CEO identity. Wall Street stunned by Morrison takeover. The champagne glass froze halfway to my father's lips as his eyes locked onto the screens. In that moment, a decade of dismissal and condescension crystallized into dawning horror. I stepped forward, finally allowing my carefully constructed mask to fall. Dad, I said into the sudden silence, I believe we need to discuss some changes to the seating arrangement. The ballroom fell into stunned silence as the screens continued to flash with headlines. Sarah Morrison, from kitchen to corner office. Quantum Tech's mysterious O revealed as Morrison Air. Morrison Industries stock surges 200% on acquisition news. This has to be some mistake, Richard stammered, his perfectly tailored suit suddenly feeling too tight. Quantum Tech is a multi-billion-dollar technology empire. They're the ones who've been revolutionizing manufacturing with AI. Correction, I interrupted smoothly, I've been revolutionizing manufacturing. Every innovation you mocked as impractical, every suggestion you dismissed as naive, they're all now part of Quantum Tech's core technology. My security team, all disguised as kitchen staff, moved into strategic positions around the room. The servers transformed into executive protection, securing the perimeter with practiced efficiency. For those just joining this revelation, I spoke into the microphone, my voice carrying the authority of someone who commanded a global empire. Allow me to properly introduce myself. I'm Sarah Morrison, founder and CEO of Quantum Tech. You might know us from our AI manufacturing systems, our quantum computing breakthroughs, Or perhaps from the fact that we now own Morrison Industries. Elizabeth's husband, a junior executive at Morrison Industries, turned ghostly pale, no doubt realizing he'd been unknowingly working for me while mocking my little tech startup at family gatherings. The kitchen experiments. My father's voice cracked. All those times you were tinkering with robotics in the industrial kitchen were pilot programs for quantum tech's automated manufacturing systems, I confirmed. Every time you made me eat in the kitchen, I was actually conducting research and development. Amazing what you can learn about industrial processes from a commercial kitchen. The screens updated with more breaking news. Quantum tech reveals decade-long strategic acquisition plan. Morrison Industries acquisition completes Quantum's manufacturing dominance. Sarah Morrison, the billionaire who ate in the kitchen. My mother clutched her pearls, swaying slightly. But your small office in Brooklyn was a front, I explained, enjoying the cascade of realizations crossing their faces. Every time you mocked my simple tech company, I was building the largest manufacturing technology conglomerate in the hemisphere. Those nights you thought I was wasting time with computers, I was revolutionizing global industry. Richard pushed forward, his usual arrogance replaced by desperate calculation. The recent manufacturing efficiency improvements, those breakthrough systems, were mine, I finished. Every innovation you bragged about to the board came from my team. Though I should thank you, your constant condescension made it incredibly easy to operate unnoticed. My father found his voice again, though it trembled with barely contained rage. The board will fight this. They'll never accept. They already have, I cut him off, nodding to my CFO, who had been posing as a kitchen manager. She distributed tablets showing the board's unanimous vote from that morning. You see, Dad, while you were busy teaching Richard and Elizabeth how to run a real business, I was learning something far more valuable: how to build an empire from the ground up. Every time you made me eat in the kitchen, I was making connections with industrial suppliers. Every time you dismissed my ideas as impractical, I was implementing them through quantum tech. The reporters who had come to cover a simple birthday party were now scrambling for positions, their cameras trained on the family drama unfolding before them. But why? My father struggled to form the question, his birthday cake untouched before him. Why reveal everything now? I picked up a dessert fork from the kitchen table setting, the one they deemed appropriate for me. Because timing is everything in business, isn't it, Dad? That's what you always taught us. Well, that and know your place. Though I suppose I finally do know my place, at the head of the company that just bought yours. The screens flashed with more updates. Quantum Tech announces immediate restructuring of Morrison Industries. Sarah Morrison's net worth soars past $8 billion. Tech visionary emerges from the kitchen to claim corporate throne. Elizabeth, desperate to salvage something, stepped forward. Sarah, about all those things we said. Save it for your performance review next week. I cut her off. Though I should warn you, Quantum Tech has very strict policies about workplace behavior. No more relegating people to the kitchen based on their perceived worth. My COO distributed leather portfolios to each family member. Inside you'll find your new employment contracts, or in some cases severance packages. I've been particularly detailed about the sections on respect and professional conduct. You can't just erase decades of business history, my father protested weakly. Actually, I can and I will, I replied, producing another document. Quantum Tech is rebranding all Morrison properties effective immediately. The Morrison name will become a footnote in corporate history, just like you tried to make me a footnote in this family. Richard flipped frantically through his portfolio. My division, my projects, are being redistributed, I confirmed. Though you'll be interested to know that the AI systems you claimed credit for were actually developed in that little kitchen lab you mocked. Ironic, isn't it? The ballroom buzzed as New York's elite recalibrated their understanding of power. The daughter they'd banished to the kitchen had just revealed herself as the owner of their corporate destinies. You know what's fascinating? I addressed the room, picking up a serving tray. Every time you made me sit with the kitchen staff, you gave me insight into industrial operations. Every time you dismissed my work as playing with computers, I was expanding Quantum's reach. Every time you looked down on the daughter in the kitchen, you were actually dealing with your future boss. My mother attempted one last intervention. Darling, surely we can discuss this as a family. Oh, now you want to include me as family? I smiled, gesturing to the kitchen doors. Funny how that works when you discover your disappointment daughter controls your financial future. Standing at the podium, I surveyed the room. Let me be clear, quantum tech will be implementing immediate changes. First, the corporate culture. No more hierarchy based on family names. No more dismissing innovative ideas because they come from unexpected places. My security team began escorting my father from his seat of honor. As he stood stunned and diminished, I called out, "Oh, and Dad? Happy birthday. Don't worry about cutting the cake. I'm sure one of the actual kitchen staff can handle that. After all, that's where you always thought the real work belonged." The headlines would run for months, but nothing could match the satisfaction of that moment, when the daughter they relegated to the kitchen revealed herself as the chef of their destiny. Walking toward my new executive office, formerly my father's sanctuary, I paused for one final remark. By the way, those efficiency algorithms you called childish dreams? They just increased company productivity by 300%. Not bad for someone you thought only belonged in the kitchen. Sometimes revenge isn't just about proving them wrong. It's about owning the entire restaurant where they made you eat in the kitchen. The morning after my father's birthday revelation, I sat in my new executive office, his former throne, watching the sunrise over Manhattan. The Morrison Industries logo was being replaced with quantum tech symbol across all our buildings. A quantum particle emerging from darkness, rather fitting for the moment. My phone hadn't stopped buzzing with headlines. Quantum tech begins massive corporate restructuring. Sarah Morrison's first moves as public CEO shock industry. From kitchen to boardroom, the tech revolution no one saw coming. Elizabeth burst into my office, clutching her termination papers. "You can't do this to me. I'm your sister." "Am I?" I asked calmly, reviewing security footage of her mocking me at last night's party. "Funny, you didn't consider me family when you were telling the CEO of Microsoft that your weird sister plays with computers in the kitchen. That was different. I didn't know." "Exactly. You didn't know that every time you pushed me away from the important business discussions, I was actually closing deals worth billions. Every time you relegated me to the kitchen, I was developing the technology that would eventually buy your precious corner office." The screens in my office displayed live market updates. Morrison Industries shares skyrocket under quantum leadership. Wall Street embraces tech manufacturing merger. Sarah Morrison announces innovative workplace culture reforms. Richard stormed in next, waving his new contract. "A position in quality control? You're demoting me to checking machines." "Actually," I smiled, "those machines you'll be checking? They're running the algorithms you called childish kitchen experiments. Consider it an education in humility, something our family desperately needs." My mother arrived, her social calendar in disarray. "The charity gala committee will now meet in the company cafeteria," I cut in. "In fact, all executive meetings will rotate through different parts of the company, including the kitchen." Amazing how perspective changes when you're forced to sit where you once forced others to sit. The industrial kitchen, my former exile, was being transformed into quantum tech's innovation lab, a symbol of how great ideas can come from unexpected places. My father was last, escorted in by security. He looked smaller somehow without his empire to prop him up. "The board has concerns," he began. "The board," I interrupted, "is being restructured. Our new corporate governance policy prioritizes innovation over inheritance, merit over last names." "Oh, and board meetings? They'll sometimes be held in the kitchen. For old time's sake." I pulled up the company's new organizational chart on the screens. "See this? Every position is now earned, not inherited. Every idea will be evaluated on its merits, not its origin. And yes, some of our best innovations will probably come from people you would have seated in the kitchen." "You're destroying everything I built," he whispered. "No, Dad. I'm building something better on the foundation of everything you tried to destroy. My confidence, my ideas, my potential. The daughter you banished to the kitchen now owns the entire restaurant, and the menu is changing." I stood straightening my CEO badge. "Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a company to run. I believe you know the way to the kitchen? There's an orientation session there for all demoted executives." Don't worry, they serve humble pie. The security feeds showed my family being escorted to their new positions. Elizabeth to HR training, Richard to the quality control floor, my father to the kitchen orientation. Oh, and Dad. I called after him. That birthday cake you never got to cut last night? I had it sent to the kitchen staff. They deserved to celebrate. After all, they were the only ones who ever treated your daughter like a human being. As I watched Manhattan's sunrise, a new notification popped up. Quantum Tech announces revolutionary workplace democracy initiative. Sarah Morrison, no more kitchen tables in our boardrooms. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just taking over the company. It's transforming it into everything they feared it could become in the hands of the daughter they banished to the kitchen. I turned to the window of my new office, watching as the last Morrison Industries sign was replaced with the Quantum Tech logo. A gentle knock at the door revealed Anna, the head chef who had been my only ally during those kitchen days. Ms. Morrison, she smiled, the new executive dining policy is in effect. All management now eats with their teams, no private dining rooms. Perfect, I replied, remembering all the lonely meals at the prep table. And what about my father's special reserved table? Converted to a collaborative space, she grinned. Though I saved his reserved for president placard. Thought you might want it as a souvenir. Keep it in the kitchen, I said. Let it remind everyone that today's kitchen staff might be tomorrow's CO. The headlines would run for months, but nothing beat the satisfaction of knowing that no one in my company would ever again be told they belonged in the kitchen. Unless they were the chef.